What are you cooking today, Miss Martha? Well, I'm making tofu, no egg, bouillon. Chinese pancakes, but they're gonna be vegan. So I got all the ingredients out here assembled for you. The reason I go through it this way instead of just saying, look down at the ingredients in the description on the YouTube Digital Cookbook channel is because just because somebody says bouillon paste, you may not know what I'm talking about. When I show you an item, then you get to see kind of what it looks like. And I'm also kind of giving a hint at what brands that I'm using on the items when I hold on. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm sponsoring that item because, you know, as any housewife does, I'm going to shop by value. So I'm going to look for what's on sale, what's the best value. There are a few things that there are no substitute for, like my son likes Sprite. I can't bring him home Sierra Mist. It's not the same thing, you know. So there are some things that, you know, you buy the regular item to keep your family happy. But right now, we're talking about vegan Chinese pancakes, or what I'm making, tofu, no egg, bouillon pancakes. To start off with, you were supposed to have taken your dried mushrooms, because to make the gravy for the egg bouillon, you have to have oyster sauce. And I always thought, like, oyster sauce, living at the beach, I thought, that's made out of oyster. Ew, I like shrimp, but it's not. It's made out of oyster mushrooms. So I've already done this step because you have to take some vegetable broth and a little bit of water, bring it to a boil, add in your dried mushrooms to it, cut it off, take it off the heat, and let them soak. And that way, this whole mixture is the dried mushrooms that have been soaking, and I'm going to take that over to the Vitamix when we move over to the cooking portion and blend this all up. But let's go through our items right now. For the oyster sauce, which is going to go in the vegan gravy of the no egg bouillon, I've got vegetable stock, dried mushrooms. Oops. I showed you, I already have those soaking. But there's also miso paste, soy sauce, agave syrup. I'm going to have to grate some fresh ginger, Chinese 5-spice, and once all that will come to a boil, if it's not the thickness that I want, because I want it thick like ketchup, I'm going to make a little slurry with some water and some cornstarch, and that will be the oyster sauce, which is the key ingredient in the gravy of the tofu, no egg, bouillon. Now, as for the gravy portion of it, there's going to be the oyster sauce that I've made, the vegan oyster sauce, and there's vegetable paste, vegetable bouillon, vegetable stock, sesame oil, soy sauce, white pepper, celery salt, ground cardamon. And some of these have the same kind of spice that are running through, but I don't want to have to set, because I've got, you know, 5 different things that I'm working on, 5 different bottles. So I'm going to, some of the items, there'll be repeat on the spice of it to keep the flavor profile going through the recipe. So that will be the gravy portion. Now, for the no egg bouillon portion of the pancake, well, I'm using tofu to keep it vegan, because instead of, if I was just doing a regular egg bouillon, it would have shrimp in it, it would have pork in it, but we're going to use tofu, and I'll show you how we're going to treat that later. It's going to be marinated in some of the oyster sauce, but I've got tofu. And I didn't realize that sometimes some stores have it in the refrigerator section over there next to the vegetables, and sometimes it's just on the shelf. In Asia, this has got a shelf life. This could just stay in the pantry, so I have extra boxes of it because it would just be stocked in my pantry. It doesn't have to be refrigerated. But for the pancake portion of it, there's chickpea flour, sesame oil. I'm going to drain the liquid out. That's going to go as the mixture to make it, to go with the dry flour to make a wet mixture to make the pancake portion of it. I'm going to drain the liquid off, but now I'm going to have all the chickpeas left. I'm going to make hummus out of that. So nothing goes to waste, but you'll have to drain the liquid off. It can either say chickpeas on it, or it can say garbanzo beans, or you can find one that says both on there. Basically the same thing, interchangeable, except usually garbanzo beans are a little bit bigger than chickpeas. So I'm not sure how many, to get the amount I need for the recipe, I wasn't sure how many cans I had to drain, so I have extras sitting over here. Now, I also have The other dry ingredient is it's a plant-based protein, which just goes in my morning smoothies, but so I always have this on hand. A little bit of salt, a little bit of the spices that we're using in other items, and we're going to fry them up in a neutral oil. You can't use, well, it wouldn't matter to my husband because he loves olive oil. He likes sesame oil, but that's going to impart a taste into your pancake portion of it. So if you use a neutral oil, like grapeseed oil, it's going to let the pancake be flavorful and it's all right with the vegetables that are in it. Not going to make it taste like olive oil. Okay, so now the vegetables, speaking of vegetables, are going to go in the pancake. I'm going to have to chop up, and you want to chop them nice and thin and small pieces because you don't want it to look like a clumped up volcano. You want it to be a nice little flat pancake. So I've got baby bella mushrooms. I've got bean sprouts. Now these are the bigger ones. It's not like little alfalfa sprouts. These are bean sprouts. Got bok choy. Spring onions and peppers. Now I told you I'm going to have peas or beans, either garbanzo beans or chickpeas, whichever can I've opened over there. I'm going to have the pea portion of it left in the cans. I'm going to make hummus out of that. So to make the hummus, I need the tahini first. So to make the tahini, I've got sesame seeds. Then we'll toast in a pan. Then I'm going to use my Vitamix again. We'll use some grapeseed oil and salt. That's all it takes to make the tahini. Now the tahini is going to go in to make the hummus, which will be with the chickpeas that have been drained. Like I said, I've got extra cans because I'm not sure how many it's going to take until I start opening them up and measuring them out. A little bit of vegetable stock, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of minced crushed garlic, a little bit of celery salt, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of, where are my other spices at? A little bit of cardamon, a little bit of Chinese 5-spice, and a little bit of white pepper. And that's going to be my hummus, which we're going to serve with either strips of the red pepper over here or a little bit of the green onions. I might have, depending upon what vegetables I've got in the refrigerator, we might use chops of celery stalks to dip it with the hummus. But I have purchased, instead of, because it'd be too many things to try to cook in one day, I'm already making the pancakes to make my own sweet potato chips. But I've got, and they're vegan, the ones I bought from the store. You might dip it with these little sweet potato chips that I have. So let's move some of this stuff out of the way, and I'll meet you over at the stove. You go get a cup of coffee, and we're going to start. Our first thing we're going to make is the oyster sauce, and then we're going to turn that into gravy for the tofu, no egg, bouillon. Woohoo! See you in a minute. Okay, I've turned the pot on, and here is the miso paste, the agave, the soy sauce, the grated ginger, and the soaked dried mushrooms are here. And I've got my little slurry to thicken it up, but we just got to hit this on the Vitamix for a few minutes. Not even minutes. But we'll add this to the pot and we'll bring it to a boil, and I'll pick back up to you when it's turned into oyster sauce. Okay, my oyster sauce has come to a boil. I've got to turn it down to simmer. And it's got to simmer for about 15 minutes or so, so it won't be, you can see it's a little bit gritty from the miso paste. So after 15 minutes of simmering, I'll add the slurry if I need it. It's almost there. It's almost thick enough as it is, but it's going to need a little bit. While this is simmering, I'm going to go over here and I will be chopping up. That boy knife out of there. We'll go chop up all my vegetables that are going to go in the omelet. So you've seen me chop things before. I'm just going to get them all ready. Use time wisely. So we'll pick back up in a few minutes. Okay, the oyster sauce is almost ready here. I've chopped up all my vegetables that are going to go into the omelet portion of the tofu, no egg, foo-young. I also have some of the onion stalks and red pepper strips that my husband's going to use in the hummus that I'm going to make, as well as, he likes this brand, it's vegan, the sweet potato chips. So we'll pick back up in just a minute. I have a couple dishes to wash. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add our slurry in. Turn it back up a little bit, but I was sitting there letting it wait. Mix that back up to liquid. There we go. If you looked at the beginning and you saw the amount of ingredients that I had over there, I'm not using all of that in one batch. I'm going to have some vegetables left, and one night I'll just boil some rice noodles, and then I'll saute the vegetables on the side, put those on top of the rice noodles, and I'm going to have extra oyster sauce. I'm also going to have extra no egg bouillon gravy as well that I can use on that. So we're going to need 1 cup out of here to add to the gravy. And then the rest of this could be cooled down in Tupperware and be put away in the refrigerator. And I don't have to wash the pot because I'm going to put the stuff back in here because I have to heat up the egg bouillon, no egg bouillon gravy. It's vegan. You're probably thinking, that looks just like the other pot. And I've seen my husband, when I come in when I'm making this, he goes, that's the same thing. But when you finish, he knows there's a difference. You can let him taste the oyster sauce and then let him taste the no egg bouillon gravy. And there are 2 different things, but if you want to, you could skip this step and you could just use the oyster sauce as your gravy. All right, this has got to simmer. Then we'll see if we need to thicken it. I'm going to keep it a little bit loose because my husband likes it loose like pancake syrup on the gravy part that's going to go on top of his omelets. But we'll pick back up in a few minutes. While we're waiting on the gravy for the no egg bouillon, we're going to go ahead and toast our sesame seeds. No oil in the pan. Okay, when they start smelling like roasted peanuts at the fair, or when you start seeing a little steam coming off of them, you can cut them off. Now cool slightly. I'm going to set them over here. And then they'll go into the Vitamix with the grapeseed oil and a little bit of salt, and that'll be my tahini. Then we're going to finish up with the gravy, move this out the way because I need to saute the vegetables and the tofu just a little bit before it goes into the pancake, because it's not going to cook once it's in the pancake. The pancake is just like regular Aunt Jemima pancakes. You know, cook one side, flip it, cook the other side, and it's done. It's real fast from this point. It's just getting all the stuff assembled. And I know you could have just bought a bottle of oyster sauce. You could have just bought a bottle of tahini, but I like being in the kitchen. So you can skip those steps and just buy the bottle if you're pressed for time. It's just toasted sesame seeds, grapeseed oil, and salt, and we're going to blitz it in the Vitamix, and that's our tahini, which we're going to set aside to go in the hummus. I've already separated. It only took 2 cans to give me my 1 cup of liquid. So I've got the 2 cans of beans for the hummus, and I've got the 1 cup of liquid that's going to go into the batter for the omelets. All right, the drained chickpeas and the tahini, as well as the other spices are in here. We're going to mix up the hummus. Then we'll move over to mix up the pancakes. Hummus is ready. Okay, the hummus is ready. I'll set that aside. And let's finish up the gravy. With our little cornstarch. I hate that this stuff thickens back up if you walk away for a second. And we can move this out of the way, and I can saute my tofu and saute the vegetables that will go into the omelet portion. We'll mix up the batter over there, and then we'll come over here and fry out the omelets. And we're done. At that time, my husband should be home from work every second. You know, a meal like this is not like when you're doing, let's cut this off. It's not like when you're doing a pot of soup that you're going to freeze half of it or eat it for 2 or 3 days. These, you know, tofu, no egg, bouillon omelets, Chinese pancakes, you want to cook to serve. So, you know, if you're just going to do 2 or 3, if that's all he wants to eat tonight, put the rest of it in the refrigerator, you can cook 2 or 3 tomorrow. Because there's no eggs in it, it'll keep 2 or 3 days. And the sauces that you made, they'll keep a week or so. Right, let's get my area cleaned up, and we'll come back over here to the stove. See you in just a second. Okay, we're at the homeward stretch here. I've got a little grapeseed oil in 2 different skillets. The reason, if I was just doing regular egg bouillon with, you know, egg-based pancakes, and I'm going to do like shaved pork, or I'm going to do shrimp in it. I don't mind if I'm going to do my meat, my protein first, and then I'm going to add the vegetables because the protein takes a little longer to cook. Then I'm going to add the vegetables to it, and then I'll just stir fry that a little bit and take that out, let it cool, and then it will go into the batter. But with the tofu, my husband likes that added on top, like it's croutons. It's not going to get crunchy like a crouton, but he doesn't want it inside the pancake. So I'm going to do them in separate pans so I can keep them separate when I'm doing the omelet. I keep calling it a pancake because it's going to look like a pancake, but it's an omelet. All right, we're going to do the veggies in this pan. All the ingredients and their proportions and the directions are under the description, and Miss Martha loves to cook. YouTube did the cookbook. My little tofu. There we go. Move this out of the way. Okay, I'm going to sear these off, and then I'm going to let them cool a little bit, and then we'll meet back over there when I'll mix up the batter for the omelet. Okay, let's mix up the omelet portion. I keep calling it pancake because I'm looking at it more with the powder version than I am beating up an egg thinking of an omelet. But there's not, because we're using the chickpea flour and the juice from the drained chickpeas to be our egg substitute. So I have the chickpea flour, the protein powder, which is plant-based, the same amount, the same seasonings and everything, you know, the 5 spice, the cumin, white pepper, blah, 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 and a little bit of sesame oil. This is the juice out of the chickpeas, a little sesame oil, and we'll use just enough of that to turn it into a batter. We'll pick back up because my video is running long. Then I'll add in the sauteed vegetables, and we'll go back over to the stove, to the skillet, and we'll make our omelet and then plate it up for our tofu, no egg, bouillon. It's been so much fun making it. I hope you've enjoyed watching it. You know, you can always just fast forward to the good part. If you don't, you know, okay, I'm going to buy a bottle of oyster sauce, Miss Martha. I'm not going to make it myself. It takes too long. That's okay. I don't fault you for that. You do you. Me, I enjoy doing this stuff. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, wait, the best part of the tofu, no egg bouillon. That's just fun. It's almost like, it keeps making one thing. Little bunny food. It's almost Easter time right here too. Okay, here we go. This is what your batter should look like. It shouldn't be too thick. It should run off your spoon. I've got a little grapeseed oil in the pan over medium to high heat. And we're going to do about, this is a huge spoon, so I guess 2 tablespoons. You see? Let it cook up until you can see it start getting golden brown around the edges, and then we'll flip it and let it cook on the other side. Then we'll plate it up with a little bit of the vegan gravy and a little bit of the vegan tofu. I've got my vegan hummus over here. Put a little sesame. I like the tuxedo sesame seeds. They're prettier. We'll pick back up in just a second. Here's the omelet by itself. Now let me top it off. Okay, here's your tofu, no egg, bouillon, vegan Chinese pancakes. You see how beautiful that is? And because we had chickpeas left over when we drained the liquid out to make the omelet part of it, I made hummus. Thank you for watching. Miss Martha enjoys cooking vegan. I'm not a vegan. I never claimed to be a vegan, but I like to eat it sometimes because, you know, when you eat vegan, it's not like you're just having less cholesterol than if you tried to, oh, I'm going to bake my chicken instead of frying my chicken. You're still getting cholesterol. There's no cholesterol in this. So when you eat vegan, you feel, oh my God, I feel 10 years younger. That's what my husband says about it. And Miss Martha, okay, I did cheat. I had a Rally's hot dog today because I was doing a lot of errands when I got out there. So, you know, that's negative points for Miss Martha. But don't mark down my video. I'm showing you how to cook vegan. And this is for our Meatless Monday, which we do at least one day a week, try to eat healthier. So You could try that too. Join Miss Martha on Meatless Mondays. Thank you for watching. The recipe will be in the bottom of the description on my YouTube digital cookbook channel. All the ingredients and how easy it is to make. If you want to take the shortcuts, that's fine. Bottled sauces are fine, but my husband appreciates the effort. And after 33, almost 34 years of marriage, I stick with that. God bless.